Was. Here we are again. So now you're back from Atlanta, the meeting. That was June
Yeah,
2002,
yeah,
and you're leaving home in March 2003, 9 months later.
yeah.
That must have been tough.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, yes, it was. So I've got a huge decision to make, and a very, very assertive American woman. I will say that as well. Um, all of the bits that I've said about her are all true. I mean, yeah, absolutely stunning. I mean, as to look at, um, I'm going to say everything out in bed, everywhere. She was just, I mean, she was great. There was no, there's no doubt about that. And she was, well, you are going to leave your wife, aren't you? We're not going to carry on doing this. And something kept trying to tell me to say, okay, then I'm not going to keep doing this. But I think I was weak, you know, I let it run. I
Yeah.
don't know how this would ever get analysed. Never, I don't know, I've thought about it myself. I've never spoken about this with anybody until today, really.
Yeah,
Um,
because I can. It's hard to imagine, but like I know you was and how you're with people. You're married for 26 years, and even if it's the romance isn't there, I'm sure the love was still there for Christine. And not to mention, then you see your kids and everything,
yeah, the kids
and
and
it's a
all of
much
the
easier
stuff.
thing to stay in that relationship than
It
to
would have been. But
jump off a cliff.
how long do you stay in? I'm going to call it loveless, but I think we were almost like going in different directions by then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just let it happen. But that's what happened. I did let it happen. And I can try and analyze it 20 years, not 20 years, nearly 20 years on. Is
Well,
it? No.
yeah. I guess
Yeah.
obviously it's
It's 21 years.
yeah, more, yeah.
It's 21 years on. And no, no point in analyzing it now. It's all happened. It's
There
still,
obviously wasn't enough.
I think he's still a bit raw here and there.
Yeah.
Um, and there was no big anger. I mean, there was anger at first from Christine, obviously. Um, but no, it was fairly, I'm going to say amicable. I'm not sure that's the correct word, but we let everything happen. Um, we sometimes at family gatherings, we'll be there. We're quite, speak to each other. There's no thoughts of, couldn't speak to her. So
Civilized.
it's civil. It's civil, and it's fine. And the two wives, the ex-wife and the current wife, they chit chat probably about me and with their stories. And yeah, so anyway, that side works. At the time, though, at the time, yeah, it was just I felt like it was a time of madness. There was anger, there was planning. I didn't really know what to do. I felt like I shouldn't have done this, but I was going to do it. Um, my pills weren't helping. I remember my doctor, my GP. I went through all of this with him, and he took those. He said, "Stop those whatever the name of the drug was I was on." He said, "You need to stop those. Don't." And everybody, I went through a bit on my own, not together, a bit of marriage counselling thing. I agreed to do that, but not jointly. And everybody told me, don't make any big decisions while you're in this frame of mind. So I made all the big decisions all in one go. I walked away from a good business. I walked away from a 26-year marriage. I walked away from everything
Okay.
and never, you know, now it still has some effects now, financially, but they were the choices I made then. So that's where I'm at. So anyway, yes, it went on
That
through.
might sound like a
Sorry.
midlife crisis was, but
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it was. I think it probably is. And
yeah,
one of my brothers says he's no, he's yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he definitely says it was a midlife crisis, as much as you would define one, and a hell of a one,
right. Yeah.
as it happens. So we went through those, as you say, like about 9 months of it wasn't very good. Uh, uh, but then Christine had known that there was somebody else involved.
Did
What
you tell
was
her? I guess you did.
Yes. I mean, no point in. There's a point when you find out, might as well be told her. I
Yeah.
thought, before you find out from someone else somewhere. Um, so that was that. Didn't go down very well. Uh, but it all built up to a Saturday in March 2003, when we'd already made the decision by then. I was leaving. We were going to America. We were going to move to Florida, where we'd been a couple of times in that 9 months, and it was beautiful where we were going to go. And this is like, I mean, it's what would be diametrically opposed, do they call it? It was a total opposite to
Yeah.
to you know
Congleton,
to Congleton, to
the beach on the
to the
Gulf of
white
Mexico.
sand,
Yeah.
pure on the Gulf,
Different,
on a barrier island, for goodness sakes. The Gulf
right?
of Mexico on one side, the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway on the other, and just pure white sugar sand, and it's just everything, and it's the American lifestyle, and it was just, yeah, as you say, as far apart as it could be, different. So that's what I was going to, and that was the draw. And of course, the business in America, I made it. That was another justification for
Yeah.
going. That was a weak one, actually, but that was another justification at the time.
I'm sure I didn't
So
feel
it
we.
it led up to a Saturday afternoon in the middle of March to 2003, with my two bags, 30 kilos, that I could take on the plane, loaded in the back of my car, and that's me driving away. And I'm going to tell you this. They stood on the doorstep. Christine, three kids, waving me off. It's like I'm going away on another trip for a week. I don't think anybody really got it.
Heart wrenching, really.
I'd only got to the main road, and there was tears in my eyes. And then I drove down to Silk Street, where our factory and showroom was, because I knew that would be quiet there on a Saturday afternoon. I just parked there and cried my eyes out, to be honest, not asking for sympathy. It was all self-inflicted. But
But
my
any
God,
feelings of doubt in
huh?
that moment? Did
I'd had feelings of doubt for years,
yeah? I mean,
really, but feelings of doubt then. And God, I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing. I was a, I was an ordinary guy with a ordinary business and an ordinary car and a nice house, and or ordinary-ish nice, and everything was just ordinary. And then I did something like that.
mm.
Yeah, so I did it.
Did it
Uh,
flash through your mind, like while you're sitting there in the car, to just turn the car around, go back?
Nearly, yeah, but yeah, I
Right?
couldn't. I couldn't do that.
No.
Couldn't do that. So yeah, we went to Florida. We flew out to Texas. We packed up some of Rhonda's stuff from her apartment, and that was two of us driving down overnight, 1,000 miles from Irving, Texas, near DFW, near Dallas Fort Worth Airport, down to the Florida Panhandle, Fort Walton Beach, and took us, I don't know, but we drove it in about 16 hours, I think. One shot. Slept in the car. We bought some pizza the night. We bought some pizza, I think, on the way down somewhere. Then we had to sleep because we had nowhere. We weren't booked in anywhere when we got to Florida. Our car was our home that day, you know. And
Yeah,
I'm eating this cold pizza in the morning, and I'm just thinking, what have you done? You know. But anyway, we
yeah,
made it, and we settled and I started working, and it just got better. But every time I'd be talking to my kids on the phone, oh my God, I'd be in tears.
yeah.
Uh,
But you told
I
me
think
that,
I think Rhonda might have said to me at one point, "Why don't you just go back to them?"
really,
I
yeah,
think
you
so.
told
I
me,
seem I seem to remember that discussion in the first apartment we were in because she saw me like that. Um, but I don't know. There was something that stopped me going back as well.
you told me there was a bad
Totally
time.
mixed up. Yeah,
Christine's father had passed as well, just.
yeah. He passed, and I mean, I was married to his oldest daughter all those years, and at that point, I mean, I didn't go to see him in hospital. Then he passed. I didn't go to the funeral. Still think about that now. I mean, that was awful. I did that. I didn't do that.
Were
Uh,
you in the States by that time?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I could have maybe delayed stuff. I can't remember the dates exactly, but it was something tied in. The funeral's going to be about 2 days before the trade show started, and if I was in the UK, I couldn't da and I didn't go. Was the top and bottom of it, and I probably should have done. The guy was, an everyday good guy, really. Um, so yes, that or no, that didn't happen. But
You
should have. Yeah,
obviously feel some guilt about that now. Did you feel guilty at the time?
yeah. Not as much as now.
All right.
I just kind of let it slide. I'm a much different person now than I was then. In
We all was.
Yeah, we all, yeah. I guess a lot of things have changed me, which I suppose will come out in time.
Yeah. And you mentioned at the start that you felt weak with Rhonda.
Yeah, I did.
In,
Sorry.
in what way? Can you expand on that a little bit? Like, what made you feel that way? Did you feel
No,
did you feel that way at the time, or is that reflecting on it now?
well,
You feel,
think I felt it at the time as well that I I shouldn't. I didn't think it was ever going to work, but I was too weak to stop it.
and that's the word you use, weak.
Yeah, that's the way. That's my word. Yeah.
Uh,
Um. Let me just think about this a little bit and collect my thoughts. Didn't know we were going to go through in such depth.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Um, I think a lot of people blamed her for the breakup, but it wasn't. That's for sure. She might have been a catalyst, and I didn't think. I'm going to say it now. I didn't think it was going to be a forever relationship. And there's a thing. But at the time, it seemed the best choice. I might be totally wrong in that, but at the time, it seemed the best choice. And I just went with it. So I was too weak to admit to what I'd done to myself and to say
Okay.
to everybody, I've got this wrong. Now, would Christina take me back? I don't know. I can't speak for her.
No.
Um, possibly, possibly yes. Maybe no. I don't know. So I
Uh,
didn't. I was at a point where I didn't want to. I didn't want to kind of risk that. Being told no, you wanted to go, you're gone.
yeah, right. But
You
yeah,
know.
yeah, you weren't certain that door was still open. And
No, no, no. That's no blame. I mean,
which,
that would have
of
been. I would have
course.
respected. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she'd have every right.
Yeah, you want to get in bed with someone else, then you stay in bed. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I yeah, fully understood that that could be the case. So I never tested that one by
Yeah.
asking. Yeah.
So then,
If so then if I was strong enough, and I would have done so. That's weak is the opposite of strong. So that's why I call it weak. I wasn't strong enough to
right.
go and find out really.
And
Or
that's
whether or not that was I didn't know what I wanted to do as a top and bottom.
right.
And that's one of the major things of quite serious depression.
And that's how you wind up in a condo on a sandbank in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, yeah, and I've got to say, you put it like that, it wasn't so bad. But culturally,
Probably good parts, good sides to it,
there
which
were great sides to it. I have to say, but it's all superficial when I look back. All of that, and you know, you get tied up in, you kind of get tied up in it. Your friends, I mean, most friends didn't take sides. In fairness, they weren't really judgmental. Not to me, anyway. They might have said stuff to Christine differently wasn't to me. But
mm,
most people, on the whole, most of our friends didn't really take sides. So they were telling me what I wanted to hear. Oh, we get it was, yeah. And yeah, it sounds great where you are, man. You know, one or two single guys are, gee, I wish I could do that, you know, or whatever, you know.
yeah,
Which kind of just led me down the well, I must be okay then, really. Kind of, all my peers think it's okay. So it must be okay. It was a mess. My best mate, Ray, we've been friends for over 50 years. We've known each other since building college. He was best man at our wedding. We've been close all of these years. And it was the line I still remember. We're sitting down talking, and I said, how do you think this all plays out, Ray? He says, don't know properly, he says, but what I can tell you, it'll be a fucking mess. That was his words. And he was absolutely right. You
all
know,
right. There you go.
there's actually a bit in the movie Sliding Doors where he
Yeah,
sits down with his mate and his mate says, I'm getting the best laugh ever out of this. And I've thought, bloody hell, here's another parallel. In fact, we bought that movie, me and Sam Ross, because it's got an American woman in there, in it, that bloody keeps knocking on the door. You
right.
remember his lover
Yeah,
and his mate that said that. I said, bloody hell, that's right. That is, and yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was a bit of a thing. That whole it was yeah, it was terrible at the time. But you know, marriages do break up, and this is what others were telling me
indeed.
that
And
if
especially
there's
when you get together so young, you know.
yeah, I guess yes, yeah. We can rationalize it however we like, but it's happened
Well,
now. But I
it's
think
hard to,
the main takeaways for me. Sorry to talk over you, Bob. The main takeaways for me were deep down. I didn't think it was going to be a long term relationship. I knew
right.
I didn't think we would get back together again with Christine. Um, but I was fairly sure it would have been a long term thing. Culturally, the when we were in the States, we were totally different, too different. What I thought was exciting, um, you know, was not. Was not. It was all superficial. Um, anyway, this is where we
Indeed.
are with that.
But anyway,
It
there
was
you
hard at the
go. Your
time.
condo.
It was hard at the time. How I've ended up right now,
Yeah.
it's been the best years of my life with Sam Ross. So none of this would have happened without that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you could
And
change anything. I'd say that's it's like me with Cloudy. Yeah.
yeah,
Like I wouldn't change anything
no,
that led up to that.
no, no, the same. So I don't knock it. Don't get me wrong in
No,
that
no, no.
respect. But just interesting. It's interesting maybe to analyze, try and analyze it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe there'll be some comments when this ever goes on social media. There'll be some comments about it. I don't know.